Watch PunkTV.ca for all the best modern rock videos and interviews.
Can't hear the ladies, so this is for the ladies. We want to hear you out there, ladies.
Did ladies want to the Batman show? Did these ladies want to the Batman show?
Well, I think historically beatboxing goes all the way back to like African tribal kind of societies where people would, tell stories through an oral history. They'd pass their history down orally and maintain these stories and dances and songs and things and music as a means of remembering your culture, remembering who you are, remembering who and where you came from, and so on and so forth. Beatboxing as we know it today, I would say comes from more of a jazz tradition where like scat and bebop and things like that were very, it was a total revolution of music. It was like, okay, you don't need to follow this hardcore structure to make music. You can just blah, 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 whatever, and as long as it's still melodic and good and has a beat, it's good. Influences for me for beatboxing, of course, the Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh, Michael Jackson. Actually, a lot of people get kind of weirded out when I say that, but Michael Jackson is a phenomenal beatboxer. As far as like making a show out of it, I got to really hand it up to Rozelle, because until I ever saw a Rozelle show, I never really realized that you could just do that. One guy can just stand there and do like an hour and blow the whole crowd away and have them wanting more. And guys like Rozelle, Kenny Muhammad, Scratch from the Roots, guys like that really influenced me a lot, and just made me want to pursue it more. Gave me a sort of template.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Rozelle, kind of taking it to the next level. I actually did a seminar for younger children on beatboxing, so I did a little bit of research on beatboxing, and pretty much everything that you find from like the 60s and 70s about it was if somebody decided to make bass out of their mouth, like even if it was for a few bars on a recording or to scat or whatever. But I think, or barbershop. And then I think after the 80s, after the Fat Boys and Dougie Fresh and Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh really intrigued me because he did a quick beatbox in that movie Beat Street, and I remember seeing that, like, whoa, I'd never seen anything like that before. But then Rozelle kind of took it over in the 90s, and I know Sam and I saw him together at one show. I seen him again. I seen Killa Kella as well, who some people say arguably is one of the best ones out there right now. So I dig him a lot. I was lucky enough to meet him and open for him once, and there's other guys in the UK like Shlomo and the Pete Box, and I could name tons. But it's just cool that we're like this kind of community, each doing it and trying to promote our music, and they're doing it somewhere else. I know Shlomo started the first beatbox orchestra, and there's a whole bunch of people doing like a vocal orchestra, so it's just cool to see what everyone's doing. But at the same time, sometimes I think I go through a phase where I don't listen to anybody else's music and I just try to do my own to try to maintain that originality, because people like Rozelle got big because they had their own sound and didn't rip anybody else off, So
yeah, you can't go to a beatbox show and then do Rozelle. I mean, it's not like karaoke. You can't just do covers or whatever of something. You have to be fresh and original. That's why I'll never do Rozelle at a show. Like, people say, oh, can you do that Rozelle stuff? And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not me. I'm not going to do that at a show,
The day when I wake up, I know I can achieve. It's fake to shake up the world until they believe. A balance between the mind and the soul and the physical. Body together, every component is so pivotal. Maximizing the threat of negativity. Minimal the work a unit exists and striving to reach the pinnacle. Looking for the rhythm with the ticket of the clock. Singing for the vision as the dickens in this plot. It should you be given free the system of these thoughts. On a mission, no more wishes, so you'll listen when they draw. I'm a true master, you can check my potential.
That really depends on where you go. I find in Europe, everybody knows beatboxing like it's bread and butter, and they love it and they freak out for it, and the scenes are huge and complex and you have different kinds of beatboxers all in there. And then you come to like some places like around, especially around like Canada, where it's a much more downplayed kind of thing where you gotta seek out the beatboxer, or the beatboxer will seek you out, sort of thing, and then you will encounter the beatboxing that way. A lot of people aren't really thrusting themselves, promoting it really much. Like, Poisonous out of Toronto, who's living in Edmonton right now, is phenomenal Canadian beatboxer.
Same with Emotions in Vancouver.
Emotions in
Big ups to them, by the way. We hope that doing these tours and promoting our music, people are going to start to treat Unkle Sam and Shamik like a household name in Canada. Maybe this is the first time they're seeing beatboxing. Maybe that's going to inspire them to check out more or to come check us out more. But yeah, I think that when you asked about inspiration, I think ultimately now we inspire each other as well.
Best centuries and send me the energy to remedy. So this is my answer back to musical remedy. Visualize with your 2 eyes and capture every story, but check the way they master your uploading your new lives. Meditation and elevation will help me find peace. Meditation and dedication keep me up at the seas. The day when I wake up, I know I can achieve. It's great to shake up the world until they believe. A balance between the mind and the soul and the physical. Body together, every component is so pivotal. Maximize the respect and negativity.
I remember I was 12 years old when I got my first copy of 36 Chambers, the Enter the Wu-Tang first album, and I also remember getting kicked out of basketball practice for playing it. I remember getting it taken out of my room, out of my CD player and stuff, because I had all these horrible words in it and what have you. And my parents would be like, "Oh, what are you listening to that for? It's nothing, it's nonsense music and what have you." And then I got to go on tour with these guys, so it kind of blew my mind as far as being that little kid. It's like first day of Christmas or whatever, right? Getting the tour was completely knowing the right people, being in the right place at the right time, and Shamik can tell that story much better than I can.
Long story short, after doing some shows in Edmonton and in Calgary, I got scooped up by a promotion company called Boudang Music Canada, as well as Dubsack Productions. They're both based out of Calgary. They noticed me in Edmonton at a show which was put on by Subterranean Sound, another promoting company out here. And anyway, I started doing shows with Boudang and Dubsack, whether it was a electronica party, a drum and bass party, or a hip hop party, because a lot of promoters now are switching it up and bringing different DJs, not just doing one genre, which I think is really effective because you target every different crowd. And so they mentioned that they were trying to bring Method Man here last year and asked if we wanted to be the opener for Method Man's opener. So Method Man came with 2 MCs, Silver Rings and Salahadin. And so Sam and I did 6 shows across Canada with them, and we opened for them. And because it went off, they're bringing back Method Man with Redman, and now we're going on right before them. As far as how it makes me feel, I've always thought Method Man was the most prolific member of the Wu-Tang Clan. I've just always been a big fan of his presence, the way he writes, and just his antics, everything. And to be at the first show in Vancouver last year in November, after the whole adrenaline of doing it, then standing in the crowd and seeing Method Man, just rocking it like I've never seen any hip-hop artist ever, doing front flips into the crowd and stage diving and walking on people's hands and making people scream louder than they've ever screamed before. It's just it's pretty inspiring. Yeah, and so this is the 3rd show. We're stoked, totally stoked.
Rock! Watch PunkTV.ca for all the best modern rock videos and interviews.